The Nafusa Mountains, Arabic, are a mountain range in the western Tripolitania region of northwestern Libya. It also includes the regions around the escarpment formed where the northern end of the Tripolitanian Plateau meets the Mediterranean coastal plain of the Jefara. History. The area was as a major population and cultural center of the Libya, who repeatedly expanded west. The Nafusa Mountains shelters most of Libya's Berber-speaking population, who speak Nafusi Berber, Abadi and Marmate. In the aftermath of the Great Berber Revolt of the 8th century, Abadi missionaries that had fled from the Umayyad Caliphate took refuge in the Nafusa Mountains. Preachers converted and organized the native Nafusa people into a fighting force. Under the leadership of Imam Abu al-Khattab al-Mafari, the Nafusa descended from the mountains and proceeded to conquer all of the crumbling Firid Emirate of Ifriqiya, capturing Tripoli in 757 and Kairouan in 758. But the Abbasid Arab governor of Egypt invaded Ifriqiya, defeated the Nafusa in a battle at Tawiga in 761 and put an end to the putative new state. However, the Nafusa Mountains themselves remained unconquered. Throughout the 9th century, while the Aghlabids ruled in Ifriqiya, the Abadi maintained an independent Puritan republic in the Nafusa Mountains. The Imamate of Nafusa was in close alliance with the other Abadi remnant, the Rustamid dynasty in Tiare, both constant thorns on either side of the Aghlabids, in communication with each other across the back highlands of North Africa. In 879, the Tulunids of Egypt invaded Aghlabid Ifriqiya and captured Tripoli, but the Nafusa challenged and destroyed the Egyptian army in 880. Again, the Nafusa victory was short-lived. In 896–97, the Aghlabid Emir Ibrahim II of Ifriqiya recovered Tripolitania and defeated the Nafusa in a great battle at Manu. In the aftermath, citing them as heretics, Ibrahim II executed all the Nafusa prisoners and put an end to their independent imamate. Despite the destruction of their states, Abadi Islam remained a strong faith among the Berbers of the Nafusa Mountains for centuries after, down to the modern day. The lingering heterodoxy of the Nafusa people has placed them frequently at odds, or under suspicion, by the largely Orthodox Sunni population of the rest of Libya. This distinct culture, suppressed and oppressed by the Libyan regime, has risen to new prominence in the course of the Libyan civil war, when their initiatives led to the Nafusa Mountains becoming a major front in that war. The terrain and topography of the region are critical strategic factors, constraining mechanized advances from the flat plain and plateau, and favoring guerrilla tactics based on close local knowledge and the advantage of high ground. By the end of June 2011, the Nafusi people had almost succeeded in liberating themselves completely from the control of the regime, and this progress seems likely to continue. Geography. The Nafusa Mountains form the boundary between the Libyan coastal plain, known as the Jefara, to the north, and the Tripolitanian Plateau to the south. The beds of the Tripolitanian Plateau slope downwards to the south and tilt upwards towards the north, creating the highest portion of the plateau. As the Nafusa Mountains, which rise to over 750 meters, the plateau ends abruptly on the north with an escarpment which has up to 350 meters of topographic prominence. A series of deep valleys which drain north toward the Jefara cut into this escarpment. It extends some 250 kilometers within Libya, from just east of the city of Gayoun in the east to the city of Wazan at the Tunisian border in the west. spurs and isolated upthrusts continue into Tunisia, but this region is almost unpopulated, in marked contrast to the situation in Libya. The mountain area is rarely more than 25 kilometers in depth from its southern boundary, the flat arid plateau some 650 meters above sea level, to its northern limit on the plain, where the land falls to below 150 meters. Much of the 500-meter drop in level is accomplished abruptly at the escarpment, where local topographic prominences may be up to 350 meters. It is from below on the plain, viewing the steep slopes and sharply etched skyline, that the area appears mountainous. For the plateau the land appears merely hilly, and in fact it is rather flat apart from the effects of differential erosion. Towns in the mountains include Garyan, Jefara, Zintan, Jaduz, Kabif, Al-Kawalish and Nalu, which have all been the sites of military action during the 2011 civil war. Since 2007, the mountains stretch across two districts, Jabal al-Gharbi district and Nalu district. Economy: the mountain villages raise primarily goats, olives and grain, but also have fig and apricot orchards. 2011 Libyan civil war. The Nafusa Mountains became first a hotbed for anti-Gaddafi protests and then a rebel stronghold, an island of rebel control in the mainly Gaddafi-controlled western part of the country. During the early stages, forces allied to the National Transitional Government succeeded in evacuating most non-combatants into Tunisia. The Wazn border crossing was captured and held to ensure supply lines from Tunisia. All the mountain towns were retaken, and the front extended to the plains, cutting regime communications lines and allowing electricity to be restored. They were the first rebel combatants to be supplied with arms by airdrop. In the course of the civil war, many towns in the area were subjected to shelling by artillery and rockets from both sides, with much damage to infrastructure. Regime forces cut off electricity and water supplies. Médecins Sans Frontières sent a team in Zintan to help the large number of wounded. Al-Ghala was without electricity and water for 7 weeks, and more than 45,000 refugees fled for safety to the adjoining Tunisian region of Trtoot, where many had relatives. Cultural renaissance, as towns and villages in the Nafusa Mountains and surrounding areas were liberated from control by forces loyal to Muammar Gaddafi in early summer 2011, and while fierce fighting continued, Berber exhibitions and workshops sprang up to share and spread the Tamazight culture and language. After 4 decades during which there were severe punishments for speaking and writing Tamazight openly,